Welcome back to another episode of the 100X podcast. Today I am joined by two legends of the space. We have Jason and Matt here to tell us all about Warp Chain, what they're building, what they're trying to break in the space, and what they're trying to fix, I think most importantly here, because there are a lot of things happening right now in Web3 gaming that are not working the way they're supposed to. And maybe we just got to stop doing what we're doing the same way we've been doing it for the last couple of years and do something better. Matt, Jason, thank you guys for joining us today. We actually tried recording this episode last week, but we had some technical difficulties, so we had to reschedule. But we had an amazing chat after we finished at the attempt of the recording, where we really got to learn more about what these guys are building. And man, was I not ready to hear everything that they're trying to fix in the space. Jason, Matt, welcome back. You guys want to start off with the conversation by telling us a little bit about what Warp Chain is?
Yeah, sure thing. Happy to be here, and thanks for inviting us up on 100X. It's always good to be part of the space and part of the builders. I'm Matt. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer and co-founder, one of the many co-founders of Warp Chain. And Warp Chain is an end-to-end Web3 game publisher. What I mean by that is we take games and we make them good enough to work. That's it. Simple as that. That's what we do.
And what do you mean by, take games and make them work? Are games not working right now in Web3 gaming?
Yeah, so if you look at the market in general, the entire market cap of Web3 gaming as a whole is around $20 billion, which puts us $4 billion or the one CD Projekt Red below EA Games. And despite that, we haven't really made any profits in Web3 gaming. And that's been quite some time. And we have spent quite a lot of money trying to build the games. Not as much these days as in 19, 20, 21. But we put a lot of good money, or I say the space as a whole has had a lot of good money injected after bad. So unproven theses were continually supported by extra money, whereas new theses and new attempts at making games were not necessarily given the same nourishment. And that's just a compounding effect. Like the bear market really gutted the progress of a lot of teams in the space. And so what we're left with the ideas that didn't work, that got funded a lot in 21, and the ideas that could work but didn't quite make it from 22 onwards. So we've got a really sort of a big gap between the haves, who don't have a game, and the have-nots, who often have a game and none of the funding and none of what we know in the sort of Twitter X bubble is what's seen as relevance, like Web3 relevance being almost like a millstone to hang around a project's neck. Most of the money's already been extracted out of the communities, bless them. There are many, many rugged games, rugged projects, rugged NFTs from the early days. And to make a game work is just to make a game succeed as a business like they do in Web 2. Web 2 lost, let's just say on mobile, lost 20% of the total market cap due to the mobile changes for Apple and Android. But still, we have games that are quite simple, 2D games making $500,000 a day, just on ads revenue alone. The bigger games make between 1 and 3 million. At one point, if you look at the market, there was Puzzle and Dragons was one of the biggest mobile games in Japan. It was at 1.70% of all in-app purchases in Japan. Now, some of the numbers are staggering. The market is just on mobile alone, I believe it's worth 80 billion or something like that, or it will be worth 80 billion this year in revenues. So the fact that we have not had a single identifiable breakout Web3 hit that is making between 250K to $1 million a day in revenue and profit is surprising to me. It doesn't mean you have to have a massive game to be effective. You just have to have a business model that essentially takes in more revenue than it gives out. Profitable, as we call it, or did call it back in the day.
Before we dig into everything this episode has to offer, we want to highlight the awesome partners who sponsor this podcast and make it possible for us to work full-time on 100X. They're legends, and we appreciate them for supporting us. What if I told you that Magic the Gathering's founder, Richard Garfield, and veteran game designer Justin Gary teamed up to create a TCG where every deck can be an NFT? I'd say crypto gaming is going to make it. That game is here, and it's called Soulforge Fusion, and I am addicted with over 50 hours logged so far. You collect half decks and fuse them together to create one-of-one decks and battle your friends, play solo campaigns, and craft the lore of the endgame universe. It's free to play on Steam right now, and there's a huge airdrop that you might already be eligible for. Check the links below to get started.
a profitable business. You would think that it would be rocket science the way that Web3 has been handling it so far. But you're right. I mean, it's being done in Web2 gaming every single day. So the real question comes in as to why hasn't it been done in Web3 gaming thus far? Do you guys have any ideas as to why you guys think that it hasn't worked? I mean, we have some of the brightest minds here in the space coming from other, like EA. We have a lot of people coming from a lot of these different backgrounds, but somehow we still haven't been able to find that success in Web3 gaming. Is it that people just hate NFTs, hate blockchain, or is it something more?
I mean, it's the space as a whole is fundamentally broken. So you've got projects that are being pushed by the same VCs that are, supposed to be backing them, chasing metas based on theses that are outdated, that do not function for businesses outside of a cryptocurrency sort of hyper cycle. And this leads to a lot of issues. I mean, a lot of the games have the good interests at heart. They want to produce good games, and they want to they want to do right by their communities. Like, not every project that fails is failing on purpose or exiting the space because they want to. If you're a game developer, you're a studio, a small studio, you want to succeed. But there's a lot of fundamentally there's a lot of problems at a fundamental level, where from fragmented infrastructure, chain hopping, blockchains constantly offering grants. These same grants can almost become impossible to actually achieve by the studios. It costs studios significant amounts of money and dev time to access these same grants. Like, the grants themselves don't have any sort of upfront benefits for small indie studios. And
Yeah, there's a lot of long vesting periods and things like that, where you essentially rebuild your entire tech stack for a grant because there's a VC that says, hey, this chain's giving away money. You don't really get to look at the tech before you do it. They sign, and then, only to find out you've got like some ridiculous vesting, and what you thought would be enough to keep your studio around is going to be like $2,000 a month if you're lucky, because the market goes up and down as well. So that's the other thing, is giving grants out of a very volatile commodity based on the amount of that commodity. I mean, at least please hope that they give you that grant in a dollar denominated amount, and then that's what you get, because that would be good.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. And so now the question comes in, and I know you guys' tagline for Warp Chain is a gaming ecosystem engineered for success. How do you guys come into the equation, and what are you guys looking to fix in this broken equation that we see in Web3 gaming?
Okay, so there's a lot to fix. Now, like, Warp itself is comprised essentially of three streams. You've got Warp Ignition, Warp Accelerate, and Warp Copilot. And it's about deep diving into, like, teams themselves. So projects that come to us, deep diving competence, like team competence checks, game design, like really diving deep into game design, monetization loops, gameplay loops, every aspect of a game that can make a game successful, to pinpoint, let's say, pain points in the games themselves, if they already have, let's say, an MVP or an alpha or a beta out, and assign team members that we have specific to each area of game development to essentially hold their hands and make sure that they are producing the best possible product for market, make sure that they are developing a profitable game, a game that can stand on its own two legs regardless of market conditions. And again, generally, it's just taking everything back to basics. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. Look, I mean, you go back to the basic part of the space. Game is meant to be fun. People play games for fun. I believe that games can be fun and have an earning component. A lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people in game development don't believe that. They kind of believe that if it has an earning component, there has to be some element of misery to that. There has to be an element of quote unquote work. We're not mining a block. We don't have to mine a block to make money. We can give things called prizes to people who do stuff called winning. And in games, you can play and you can win and you can get prizes. Oh no, what a mystery. We also do things that are absolutely crazy for the space. Like, if you look at any of the RPGs, big popular ones like World of Warcraft, and you look at RuneScape, there is a marketplace. There's also a grey market. And the price of everything in those games can be quantified to the dollar price that the currency can be bought from gold farmers, which means that 90% of those economies are open. They like to restrict that, and they seek to contain all of that value because they believe that it's not worth the network effect and this horror of going to crypto. We believe that if you support gamers doing the things that gamers have always wanted to do, which is leveling up and selling accounts to people who don't have as much time but have more money, then the games will be stronger. You say, oh, what about fairness? The mobile industry is massive. They work on exactly the same sort of scope. If you have a lot of time, you can play everything for free and you can get all of that stuff. If you don't, you can spend money to get there. And that's exactly how everything should work in crypto. Everything has a market value. The market value of a whale in crypto for their time, for their attention, is worth sometimes paying influencers and calls and everyone to get that little bit of time to engage so that you get on the launchpad, etc. It's the same for games. What we see in the real economy is reflected in games. But games' internal economies run at about 1,000 times the speed of what our tokenomics experts used to dealing with. So they might come out from McKinsey and all the rest of it. But if you tell a person that I'm going to collect 16 wolf pelts and then I'm going to take them to the tanner as part of a mission, that'd be like 6 months of real time going out, finding the wolves, hiking around, trying not to starve, coming back to base camp. Like that happens in 30 minutes or 20 minutes. And if it's a 30-minute mission to kill wolves, you would be bored. So that's probably even now going to be quicker. You know, games get faster, things get faster, attention gets less. We've seen it in our own space. You have to understand that economy's moving quick. We need to reward people for skill, time, dedication, and not reward people for just existing. Existing is actually costing you money. So this is a way we need to go. Like just turning up is not good enough anymore. And the bar, the standard, the minimum standard that you actually have to hit even like a mid-tier Web2 game that can make, let's just say, $5,000 to $10,000 a day. That standard to make a game as fun as that. I'm talking about the money. People might be like, oh, it's not all about money. It's about success. Success is measured in various things. You can have a sticky game, but we're in a business that is all about money. It's all about floor price. It's all about these things. You can financially quantify the success of basically anything. And anyone in crypto is standing up for something that is not all about price and money, means that they just have an inferior product. That's literally it, because all they do care about is the price and not all the rest of it. So to hit that standard, that quality bar is way higher than anyone in Web3 believes. I have literally seen games that people are calling the darlings of Web3. Since that, many of them have actually gone on to fall over and die. These so-called darlings of Web3 have been worse than student projects from students I've lectured. And earlier you did make a point like saying people have come in from EA, people have come in from this and that. Who were those people? What were they doing in that space? And who advised them on the Web3 side of it? Because the wrong advice to an awesome person can make a terrible product. Because if you come into a space that you don't know about and you are led down completely the wrong path, and you are told that since you're in this space, you have to do X, Y, and Z. And if X, Y, and Z is a failed and will never work, and you have to do X, Y, and Z to exist in the space, your game will fail. It will always fail. If going in and trying to bot your Twitter account and going in and trying to push for transaction volume and going in and trying to release when you have an alpha and do a token before you've got a game and set the price of things in your NFT marketplace before anyone knows what the hell they do, you are going to fail. Gamers don't like to be told what the hell to do. That's why they play games. They don't play games to be told what to do. And no one plays games to go to the Warcraft bank and then put in 3 gold and stake it for 10% yield. Why would you do that, man? Just go and kill more wolves. Like, seriously, go out there, do some damage, have some fun, enjoy stuff, fight over things, you know? That's what we're here for, to make things that are fun.
I really like that. And I think fun is something that's missing in a lot of Web3 games right now. Currently, it's a lot of, it's pretty much DeFi in a gamified sense. They put nice little skins over it, but like you said, when you have all these staking mechanisms and all these things that you see in regular DeFi, and you're like, wait, why is this in a game that's supposed to be just fun? It doesn't make sense, and it does show you some of the advice that people are given, especially when they think, oh, we got to bring in some crypto people maybe those crypto people have never done anything to do with the game, but they have worked with DeFi protocols, they work with DePIN, and that's the experience that they have, and that's what they see working on the other side of crypto. So it must work here for gaming too, but it doesn't always translate
But
very
does it
well.
always work? Because I'm always wondering about this. These tokenomics experts and these people have come in and they have this kind of opinion that games designers are essentially, especially in Web2 free to play mobile, are essentially token designers. We have our sinks, we have our taps, we have the retention, we have the numbers, we have multiple millions of granular calculations that we all do. A tokenomics expert is probably on a much smaller team, responsible for far more, doesn't have a huge team to rely on. And it's easy to make mistakes in that because you don't know how they play until they play. Everything you can believe, everything you can theorize, it's only as good as when you put it in front of people. Otherwise, technical analysis would actually be correct and not just astrology for men, sorry. We like that kind of stuff. Like TA it doesn't do anything. It's like people say, oh, every single February for the last 8 years, Bitcoin's been up. Now look what's happened. So, there's just much more. There's much more moving parts than in a DeFi thing, as you said.
Yeah.
And in games, the players are not going to play how you want them to. They're going to play how they like to, because that is the very
because like a lot of
essence
games,
play.
a lot of games economies, and especially those that sort of allow for aspects of player-driven economies, where in games like CS:GO, like the pricing up of the weapon skins, and this is like these are economies that take years to gradually build up. You cannot force value in these assets. Players have to become attached to a game. Like, cults form around a game, massive guilds form around a game, and then over time, a lot of these economies settle in and they take off from there. We're trying to do everything at such speed in this space that it doesn't allow for hits to sort of move ahead and people to get behind them and support the ones that are good. And like it's everything has to happen now, 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 now. And that is just not the way anything works in gaming. Games that establish themselves, like the ones that are sort of mainstay games nowadays, they're like first versions of those games, first editions of those games were coming out what, a decade ago, 15, 20 years ago, and then have grown from there. And in Web3, it's that, we need to take a step back and it's okay. Like, let's go right back to basics. Let's build this up from the ground, do things right, stop trying to rush things, stop launching projects at ridiculous valuations that don't, like that these valuations that just do not in any way match the quality of product. And at the same time, these valuations are being essentially forced on studios that are unable to raise the way that they would actually genuinely like to be able to raise. But the market has essentially shut out the whole narrative and the whole ethos behind like the the origins of like the ICO days. It has been cancelled out by just predatory practices, and now you're seeing this involvement of private funds, VCs, and they're driving valuations up because it's the only way they can actually extract value now. And so we're here just to make the whole space take a step back. It's like a sanity check. It's like, guys, chill for a moment. Let's take a step back. Let's look at this. Let's start building up from the ground up again, and then start releasing games that people actually care about, start building business in the space, and less of the Ponzi's, less of the problems. It can be done, and we're not going to rest really until we have achieved a large part of our goals.
So far we've talked about a lot of the problems that are right now filling Web3. The Ponzinomics, the bad management, the bad focus on things like transaction volume instead of actually fun in game. Where does Warp Chain come in? Are you guys a chain? Are you guys a publisher? How are you guys going to help these games actually go back to successful Web2 ideals?
I mean, one of the things I want to do is I want to make sure that we connect with the founders, ask them like, what are we meant to be playing here? What are we meant to be doing? At the end of the day, you form a business to make money, but you also get into game devs to release games. The most exciting moment of any game is when you see your first real players come in. It can be a terrible game. It can be like Flappy Bird. It can be, as soon as you've made something, you've created it and you've pushed it, and people come in and then they have an opinion on it. You've done something that very few people get to do traditionally. That's going to change a lot more with AI. But that emotion, that drive, what do you want to play? What do you want to improve? I've seen lots of people who come up with fantastic ideas when they play other people's games and want to build something themselves. It's about finding out what that vision is. What am I as a player meant to be feeling? Why am I feeling this? If this is just like, let's bolt on a load of things to make money, that's never going to work. You need genuine care and love for your game and for your audience and your community. So it's about going to the ground level, the absolute fundamental basics. Are you in this for the right reason? Yes, you can get horrendously rich by doing it. You can make a ton of money. I mean, I remember at King, we used to close down games that weren't making 250, that weren't making 500,000 a day. We game making 250,000 a day closed down, not King money. You know, that's huge difference. And people get into games for all sorts of different reasons, and people make that. But even if you're a company founder and you're not directly on the design and the rest of the team, if you're a company founder in it for the money, you have to have a designer and a kind of games group that does love it, because that is stage one. Because making games is a long process. It takes time. It takes a lot of commitment. And until AI can make Jake Paul's Spooderman in 3 sentences, that's what we have to deal with. It's getting faster and it's getting better. But we fundamentally check for quality, dedication, passion, and then, and only then, when we are 100% sure that there is something special about this game, there's a little bit of spice, there's a little bit of care, and there's something that you want to nurture in it, and you feel the passion for it, that is when we can go down and we can literally, from the advice level, we have people who are have been the former head of monetization at Rockstar Games, responsible for designing Gwent on mobile and running that for many years. We have people who built Dell. We've from the ground up the recommendation engine for Xbox Live, Battle.net, all of this kind of stuff. We have literally any game, one of us have kind of worked there or done something on it in a high level, not just third janitor from the bottom at Riot Games. No, people have added top line 100 million to businesses. We use that people to fix those games.
And then, like, from a chain perspective, it's about, like, for us, the chain itself is not about forcing games that get published by Warp to leverage our chain, as their principal chain. The chain itself is there, it can function perfectly well as a gaming chain. It has everything that is necessary for a gaming chain, as it's built on Avalanche. But what we're building on the chain is a first of its kind token sandbox for allowing games to test out live their own tokens via a proxy token. So essentially, they get to also be tracking, live transactions, so they can actually start generating transaction volume. They can see and test out the different token syncs in early release phases, because once you've launched a token, that is it. Your token is out in the wild, and there is no real way of going back, making modifications. It can be a nightmare to actually salvage something if you do it wrong. And then it's like all of our tech stack was built on top of that. So from the ecosystem wallets, we're partnered up with a lot of different amazing service providers in the space to bring the best tech possible to games in the simplest manner possible. So for us, the chain, it serves a purpose. It functions as a gaming chain to launch games on it. We have all the different sort of liquidity solutions via Avalanche with all the bridging and all of that good technical stuff. But ultimately, it's about us having a home for the core tech, the tech that can make the difference between a great release and a terrible release of a game. And with one of the additions to this is, as we're going to be carrying out a node sale relatively soon, and studios that get published by Warp, regardless if we position them on a different chain, because you also have to take into consideration, what style of game is this? Where is there a very vibrant community that vibes well with this game, and we will then go and help them position themselves on the right chain, because that can also make a difference. Like, where are big communities that are engaging heavily with this style of game? We will tell them, hey guys, this chain is actually a better option for you guys. And but these studios will be given a studio node on our chain, so that every studio published by Warp benefits from the overall network effect. So everyone is connected. And it's this value capture and value distribution that isn't just going towards folk that are delegating, staking towards the principal validator nodes themselves, but the projects themselves are granted, that as well. They don't have to pay for it. Like, this is an add-on. This is something that just allows them to also be able to tap into the value of a network and distribute. If they wish, they can use it as a revenue source. They can use it as a value distribution source for their community. They get to choose what they want to do with it. But ultimately, as a whole, everyone moves upwards. It's about, actually bringing, again, what I was saying before, bringing us back to basics. This space was about value distribution. It was about building things from the ground up. And now, with the tech that we have, we can actually do this.
Decentralized fun, basically.
Yeah.
I like that. And for anyone who maybe just saw you guys' Twitter account, they saw the Avalanche partnership that you guys announced. I think that caught a lot of people's attention. But when they go to your Twitter account, they see the gaming chain, they see Warp, see the Warp chain being you guys' handle. They may think, hey, this is just going to be another L1 on Avalanche. But what you guys are really trying to tackle is really more of the publishing side of things, helping these games that maybe are a little lost, that maybe got into some bad deals, like you mentioned earlier, some of the grant deals that people get stuck in, and all of a sudden now they're having to focus on transaction volume and how many transactions they're putting out every day instead of how much funds they're actually generating for the game. It does bring into question, and this is another thing that I've talked to other people, because I think there's a couple other people who are tackling publishing as a problem in this space. I know that there's you guys, there's Warp Chain, there's Uprising are also doing that, and I think the one that I've learned about most recently is Andromeda, and Michael, the titled lawyer, are also trying to handle that as well. And the more I talk to you guys about like this problem of publishing in this space, the more I get excited about it, not just as a narrative, but as like an actual solution to the problems that we're seeing in this space, because it makes complete sense. We are trying to make games fun, but we're also judging their success by how many wallets they're connected, how many people have signed up, how much transaction people are doing. Like, that's not how you measure success in games.
Yeah, exactly. None of that's gameplay. Like, you can measure success by the fun that's had on the way, or the result of the fun that's being had. I mean, and we tend to, in mobile, measure the success by the result of the fun, because we're a live operations business in AAA. You try to measure it by the fun that's being had, because I don't know if you've like with any console game, right? You have the inbuilt achievement system. Isn't it a bit weird for a full price $60 console game? You go in and that first bronze achievement, it's not 100% completion rate, is it? It's more like 50, 60. And that's like get out of bed. That's the level of achievement. That's the first thing that you do. It's like complete chapter 1. And I can guarantee you that, they've sold millions upon millions of units. And that is a 60% retention at that level for something that it's just been bought. So you can come back to it any time. So even full price content, or full price games, they have this issue that people leave and people, don't come back to them. And that's, I think, one of the things that Web3 does really well, is it allows people to come back at any point, keep their stuff permanently. The server and all the rest, you can migrate from one game to the next game. If you bet on a studio and not a game, if you're thinking, I'm going to get this NFT from this particular game, think about it. Is it a game? Is it a studio that even if this game doesn't work, they're going to continue to support that NFT? Is it going to be that their token is going to go across all of their games? Is it going to be that they're going to make sure that they, even if they sunset a game, that they try to represent it in something else successful? Like, we do a lot of really bad things in Web3, but we can do a lot of really good things as well. And that's what excites me about the space.
And I think that one of the reasons that we're seeing as well, I mean, the need for professional publishing solutions.
It's because we started it.
Well, it's not a bad point, but for us, it's all good. because the more best practice is forced into this space, the quicker the space is actually going to grow in a positive direction rather than the direction that we've been going in for the past like 2-3 years. So it's the like small studios, if you're going about things alone, you don't have a big brother behind you. You don't have a trust network that you can tap into at any point, hit up at any time of the day to guide you, to, advise you. You are stuck trying to find, as an independent founder, you're stuck trying to find the solutions on your own. And that is an absolute minefield because the big shiny people, the ones that stand out, that you would, at first glance want to trust because, they come with all the claims and they have amazing BD teams, that can end in tears. So
Yeah,
publishing
just because the
solutions to,
parties are really, really good
yeah,
doesn't mean the product's actually going to be fully developed.
exactly.
That's why at Warp Chain we eat our own dog food. I'm putting my game through that as the first one to kind of test everything out. We don't want to be putting tech into games that hasn't actually been tested, tried, and proven. And we're using our own sort of previously founded games as case studies for this because this is what we believe fixes them. This is why we got into this, to fix our industry so that games like ours can have the benefit to grow. And publishing is becoming a meta because it doesn't exist. And people didn't know what publishing is. We're Warp Chain because publisher, people would think books or comics or something. And never heard of it. I mean, you may have heard of the game Valheim, right? You've heard of Valheim. Have you heard of Coffee Stain?
I have
No,
not.
Coffee Stain publish Valheim. And have you heard of Embracer Group?
No, I don't think I have.
No, that used to be THQ Nordic, but Embracer Group owns Coffee Stain and is a publisher of publishers. So Valheim is sold as a small indie that's just done its best to get out there, but it's got lots of support and it's got lots of people all the way. Your VC is not there to hold your hand through launching a game because they don't know how to do it. What they know is you are good enough as a team to potentially make a return on their investment. They cannot tell you how to launch your game. Yeah, only the very best VCs, like maybe Play or some people who've actually been games founders themselves and have launched successful products or failed enough to see what happens. Only very few of them, maybe Griffin or a few others, have the level of experience to help you. Your chain is not your publisher. Your chain provides you the tech. They provide you the services. They provide you the ability to have a really funky wallet configuration or do some crazy NFT stuff. You should be working with them, expressing the joy of your game through their tech and finding the one that allows you to do the most batshit insane blockchain stuff you want to do. Your publisher is there to hold your hand to make sure that you get where you're going. It's a different process from being like, we're not your MMP. We're not going to be there to just look at your data. And we're going to tell you who you need to hire to look at your data. We're not going to be there as an agency to just buy your marketing campaign and don't care whether you grow or not, because we get our money at the end of the day. We get our money from your success.
Yep.
And we're always on everyone says to founders, it's better to have 80% of something than 100% of nothing. And no one ever looks like that when they actually have some sort of product. And revenue is a lot easier to promise than equity. And we're not asking to own your game. Like, it depends on what you want to do. If you want us to build all of it, then yes, we'll own some of that. But we want your revenue and a good long-term relationship so that we can scale you to the heights that we know these games can do it. Because
it's what's been lacking.
It's what's been lacking. And this industry has the potential to do it. Like, the reason the mood is so dire on Web 2 is because they cannot hit the retention numbers that we can. They cannot hit the community, the depth of feeling and like joy that our communities have. There is no single Web 2 game community that is anything positive about any game that they play. And they love those games. If you look at the Web 3 community, you could literally have a fucking stick man that falls over and can't get up. And there will be some mother flipper in the comments defending that. It's like, come on, man, I love this game.
Or it will turn into a feature.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't squander the love of financially invested people have for us and I think we
Yeah,
have the
but
best
Matt, at the
resource, we have the
same
best people.
time, to get back that love when it comes to the financially invested people, like large scale public facing Kickstarter mentality, we have to reset the space. It cannot continue down the path that we've been going. And we will keep on going back to this point, but it's something that the entirety of the space, if you want that sort of potential and you want to start healing the space, the general public also has to sort of realize as well, what the conditions are for both parties. You cannot, as an individual that will be happily, aping thousands into a meme coin, hold a game studio, unless the game studio has done something crazily wrong, and a lot of them have, but for the studios that are trying to do things right, the ones that aren't, raising insane amounts of money way beyond, what they need, and like valuations that are off the charts, those same meme coin buyers holding studios with true value behind what they're building to much higher standards than a $500 million market cap meme coin, it's like the space needs a fucking reality check at that point.
Yeah, for real. I mean, this is one of the things. It's like your game or your collection of crappy arcade games that wouldn't even, if your game wouldn't make it onto a flash site like Miniclip, then quit now and give up. I mean,
Well,
if you want to monetize, I mean,
about
didn't they
Miniclip.
get invested in invent? Yeah, I worked there. I actually put the Cubes with Powers into 8-ball pool multiplayer, which is kind of funny. It's quite a popular game. I think it still holds the Guinness Book of World Records for being one of the biggest games on pool games. I mean, you wouldn't normally say that, but recently there was a monkey-related game that also had a Guinness Book of World Records thing. And congratulations to them as well. I want to see people succeed. Look, we spend enough time kicking each other in the head, in the ass, and complaining about things and moaning about free money and complaining we didn't get the free money. Do you know what I want to do? I want to just be gaming with the people and watching the content creators that I enjoy, playing games that delight me, scare me, make me feel something, and I want to be able to own a piece of that stuff. I wanted Social Fi to work, even though I think it's mostly trash, because I do believe that there is a value that gamers want to do. Like, they want to experience some of that. They want to follow their favorite content creators. They want to see gaming content succeed. They want to see esports succeed. We cannot just keep tacking on buzzwords to stuff. You are not a AAA project unless you've been building for God knows how many years. Like, does anyone realize how old Rockstar Games is? Do people realize it is 27 years old, founded in 1998? Do you think you can compete with 27 years of team building and marketing? I don't think so. And like, unless you've got multiple billions invested in you, multiple billions,
And
you
even
have
that
to grow.
that wouldn't do it though either.
No,
Because
you can't fight the cumulative value of. I mean, imagine you were going to come in and you were going to say, "I'm going to do a Web3 hockey game, and I'm going to like absolutely destroy the top hockey game." You would not do it. It's really difficult to take out an incumbent like that in football. Are you going to take down FIFA? Maybe not. Are you going to? This is why
I
Web3
don't know though,
allows
man. I
us.
mean, if FIFA keep on producing, absolutely glitchy trash, then
Yeah, I mean,
The same
there's
copy
only
paste every
there's only
year.
so much
yeah.
abuse an audience can really take. I mean,
I don't know,
the
man.
mighty
They've
do
been
fall.
pushing the limit for a while now. I mean,
Exactly,
it's
the
like every
mighty do
single year.
fall. That is true. The mighty do fall. But at the same time, they still have money to come back.
Oh
So,
yes.
But yeah,
so let's talk about that a little bit. I think anyone listening to this conversation realizes, hey, there are some legitimate issues with Web3 gaming, the way that it's been done so far. Warp Chain is here to fix some of those. And how are you guys fixing them? You guys are fixing them by going directly to the games that are trying to become successful businesses and helping them get to that success, get to that positive revenue at the end of the day. Because without revenue, all these games are going to die anyways.
exactly.
So for the games, you guys are helping them figure out how to make their business work by being their publisher. Where do the other people come in? Where do people like me, maybe who I'm not building a game, but I want to participate in Warp Chain, participate in your ecosystem? Where do I come in into the equation? Am I participating in a coin that covers all the games that you guys are publishing? Am I participating in NFTs? Or are you guys sending me to the games individually? Where do I come in as a regular investor?
Let's just say a
All of
little
it,
bit of
whatever
everything.
you want to,
Exactly.
mate.
That's
This is
exactly
the
it.
point. You know how there's so many different services, there's launchers, there's NFT marketplaces, there's token launch pads. Not everyone who's going to invest in something on, say, a Cedarify is going to buy an NFT for the same product on Magic Eden. Not everyone who is going to play that game that launches on Carve is going to do something else related to that chain. We're trying to give the option to have the access to all of those places where that game is through your one login. So whatever you want to do in that game, whether you want to invest in that game and not play it, whether you want to play it and not invest in it, join us, follow us on X, join our community, take part in the node sale, await the token. We're also doing token airdrops to the games that we're publishing, instead of then needing to do those token airdrops as well. Like if you have a game and you've got some Genesis NFTs and cool stuff like that, we want that game to succeed. So we don't want to steal your token allocation. Have our tokens, which are going to go up because of the network effect of everything, and then save yourself money and use those tokens to really accelerate the hell out of your business. You can buy our token, you can buy individual games token, you can get introduced to those games ecosystems, you can dive in as little or as much as you want. But yeah, it all starts with a follow.
Nice. And how will that look like? Are you guys planning, because you guys are going to have your chain, and Jason, you know you mentioned a little bit of like what's going to live inside the chain. You guys going to create the sandbox where games who maybe don't have a token yet. And I like how you said it, like, hey, you want to be able to try it in a controlled ecosystem before you let it out in the wild. Because once that token is live, it's impossible to try to really back or make changes, because all of a sudden 5 people have millions of coins because they figured out a way to how to farm chickens or kill a bunch of wolves for pelts when you weren't supposed to be able to do that so fast. So that's what comes in the chain. But for the user experience, who I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to learn about Warp Chain and everything you guys are publishing. What is that going to look like to me?
It
Am I
is
going
an
to go to a
entire
website?
journey. It is an entire journey. So the user-facing part of the platform is quite literally a player journey. Like we have designed it in a way where it is it the goal is a player will always feel like they are immersed in a game even when they're on our platform. It's about signing up. You become a part of the Warp Nation in this sense. You can choose your journey as like a simple player or as a creator or as both. And you can choose as well if you are, let's say, an investor. It's like if you like to invest in games, if you like to, if you like to be notified of opportunities with games that are coming through our system. And you can, like, obviously a lot of these options can be then selected if you haven't selected some in your profile. But it's about building up a true user base as a top funnel for every single game, not just the games that we publish, the games that we partner with. It's like we are not closed off, from services to just our projects that are like, officially signed up. We do like just free advice and consultancy and meetings with founders all the time because we just love to be able to help. We are blessed to be in a position where we can. So for the users, it's that like they will be able to have through both the website and the companion app access to quests that will primarily be in-game quests. And most of the time, we don't even want the users to be on the platform. Like these quests are
Exactly.
through
We're
SDKs.
basically the wider town shit that you do in an RPG when you kill some monsters and
Yes.
you go back and you sell some loot. We're that, but when you come out of your game, we're the town where you sell some loot from that game. In a way, we're a social hub. We're just the IRL online version of what
Yep.
you'd be doing and playing. So we have deep in, we have
It is.
streaming plans. We've got all of these good things, like all
It's
of the different services. The iPhone of our app is going to be more like the iPhone of Web3 gaming.
it's like where a lot of projects have attempted to take on platforms like Steam. They've attempted to take on like your Epic Games. Yes, there's going to obviously be an element of launcher and game discovery within our platform. I mean, we're publishing games but we're not like, for example, if a game that we're publishing is positioned on Steam, we're going to be directing the users to Steam unless we have, through the deep in launcher, the accessibility directly through the platform. But what a lot of these platforms are missing out on is let's say, the post-game retention of a player. There is nothing really keeping them within an ecosystem, an ever expanding ecosystem, through smart databases with recommendations of you have so far, let's say, played game X and Y. Now, these are in this genre, you may want to try out this upcoming launch, here is an early access pass for you. Go into that. And that system is automated. So players that are genuinely, helping build communities for other games, they're testing them out, they're playing games that are fully live. It's about giving those players, the creators, opportunities, bounties for creators to go and say, hey, I will create content for this. I no longer have to go hunting for deals on the timeline. Like the
Yeah,
deals are
exactly.
waiting for me on the bloody platform.
Yeah, the idea is that, anyone who comes into this has the opportunity to feel early to something. Like we're not like trying to beat Steam at its own game. We're not trying to beat any of these people who are trying to launch fully built games. We're not, there's the whole success of the early access, right? We are basically the world of early access, where they're like you get to be a part of building these games. You get to, like the quests that we have on our platform will be about testing them, will be about trying them out, will be about doing load. Like it will be about constructing the world around you that you want to play and you want to live in. Like we are essentially the Web3 early access, and
And
a lot of these games are. A
we
lot of
bring
these
a
games are kind of
level,
like that already, but we're going to make this the whole thing.
like we bring a level of build in public that hasn't been done before. It's like we help these games with their early build in public aspects. And, we're providing them with frameworks to be able to do this in a safe manner. And, also be able to help them manage expectations of communities and access, professional player bases that are pros at testing out games, when required. It's about providing everything that founders wish. I mean, we are founders, myself and Matthew, we're founders. When we got together, to start this, it was because we're like, we as founders, like, what would we love to have available to us in this space? And Warp was born out of that, out of meeting countless founders that were in the exact same position, going through the exact same hell, but they didn't know who to even tell that they're going through this hell. And it's like we just want to end that sort of suffering in silence and just tell the world, guys, you can approach us, you can talk with us. It doesn't matter if you're a player, a streamer, an investor, a studio founder. We're open 24/7 for people in
Yeah,
this space to
exactly.
advance it.
And for players as well, one of the things that's really exciting to me as a game player who loves different kinds of games from other people, I want to be able to learn more about the kind of games that I like. I like the big, expansive RPGs with lots to discover. I'll spend a lot of time mining everything, trying to make everything, trying to craft an OP thing, trying to do that kind of like exploration style stuff. Whereas there will be other people who are just like, I want to go in and I want to kill people in the face right now. And I have to do it. And if it loads and if there's a cutscene, I'm going to skip that, kill more people. You get to find your tribe. You get to find your tribe within the nation. You actually get to be a greater part of crafting the journey of games and studios and where they go than you would be with anything else, because we can allow games, multiple people to be part of these games, not just stuck in a Discord playing Gartic, waiting for the next thing to release. I mean, come on, it's got to be better than that. There's got to be a better way of building something together with the fans, where you have something to do, where you could see things that are happening, where you can participate, where you can invest, where you can suggest, where you can test, where you can make money back, where you can be part of what this game could be and should be, and you want to vote on and you want to do these things. We want the wisdom of the crowds to be able to inform game design at the very deepest level. So that's what we're building.
That's beautiful. No, that's beautiful. I think you guys are hitting something for everyone. I think anyone listening to this, I mean, you have the full vision right here. As a gamer, you're going to have a platform full of games, full of release, up and coming, in trial and beta and early access, ready for you. You're going to have specialized quests that you can go in game and do those things. And then when you come out of the game, you're like, hey, you did that. Here's something extra for going ahead and completing that. And at the same time, for games themselves, you guys are going to have the Warp chain, the support of Warp to go ahead and fix the issues that you guys are maybe running into, while ensuring that you guys become a successful, revenue positive business. And I think you guys are really tackling it from a lot of different views and really creating an ecosystem, like your tagline says, engineered for success. I know with all this, is there going to be a warp coin? Is there going to be a warp token? How does that fit into the whole ecosystem? Where does it fit in? Is it going to be in all the games, or is it going to be a platform token?
And this is
What
a
does that look
platform
like?
token. So the thing that I love about having a platform token is people are very invested in whether a game succeeds or fails, right? They're super invested in that. So they buy that game's particular token. If the game is very successful and it pumps, happy days. If the game crashes, then it goes down. We are kind of spreading the bets between all of the things that we take our platform fees for, NFT marketplaces, launchpad fees, services, revenue will buy back the token. The general sustainable business will buy back our token and increase the value. The tokens will be distributed to people, to players, to gamers, to games, to make sure that they're doing fundamentally proven with metrics things. So you get a token if you do a good thing. We do this in Web 2 mobile games. You know, if you ever want to earn a gem in Clash Royale or something like that, you've probably done something that helped Supercell. You know, it's gamifying, doing good things for each other. And we're doing the best thing to help that game grow. You'll get some of our token. Because in the end, that comes back to us and the token value in profits. If you're helping a game grow and you're doing a really good job of it, yes, you'll get more coins. But that's all related to, did you do a really good job of it, or did people just think you are? No, it's all underpinned at the basic level. The more you contribute, the more you get out of it, whether you're a game or a player. And it's going to be crazy. There will be some players and content creators who are making more than some games in what they provide to the network as a whole. And this is going to keep the nodes humming. This is going to keep everything rolling. And it's just like in reality, you had Notch from Minecraft living on the same street as PewDiePie at one point, I believe, which is insanity. The guy who made this $1 billion company with the top streamer of his game. So yeah, we're trying to replicate as much as possible what players do want to see that they've been stopped from doing. We're trying to replicate that as much as possible with Web3. So,
and giving games tangible metrics, tangible, real metrics that actually matter. Hey, people are actually playing my game, completing the quest, and doing actually something, not just connecting 100 different wallets and setting up 100 different profiles for the same person. I think that is awesome. For anyone who's wondering, what is the relationship with Avalanche? Why did you guys come to AVAX? What was an AVAX L1 the right choice for you guys' vision with Warp Chain?
Coop visited us one night. Coop came into. It's we've been in the space long enough to know where the builders, the ones that care, where the teams that actually pay attention to and give the proper attention and support. And Avalanche has stood. They have stood.
They've always been the good ones,
much
right?
further above. Yeah,
they've always been the good ones. It's always been the shifty VCs would say go to this chain or that chain because they've got big grants. No one recommends Avalanche because they take it seriously. No one scammy wants to be on a chain that literally has a booth at GDC saying Web3 games suck. They're self-aware. They know what they're doing. They have a top tech team, a hard-ass CEO who just wants to build stuff and knock people over who get in the way. And yeah, some of the nicest faces, and everyone loves the Dorito chain. What can I say?
Yeah, Avalanche have been fantastic since we first began the discussions with them. It was a no-brainer, and we're super excited because like the way they actually throw their weight behind projects that are building something genuine is fantastic. I mean, it's borderline unheard of. Like it is so difficult to get the attention of any of the other, let's say, major chains with. Yeah, they don't really care. And yeah, as Matt said, Avalanche do, and that is noticeable. Their presence is noticeable, and their tech is the right tech for us. So,
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that really we need to do to make sure the games can test properly is to have a complete reconstruction of their token. We want to put the tokenomics of their game, whether they're on Solana, Base, whatever they're on, we want to build that token system with our sandbox token and specify all of the cool things that they want to do with their token. So we need an L1 so that we can not just be a token master and mint tokens that do just standard things, that we can actually get down and look at the nitty gritty and make sure that token does exactly what and behaves exactly how their token is meant to behave, because we want to then run that game live with a token that you won't be able to sell out the ecosystem, so you can't cheat it, but you can buy it, and we can then work out the buy pressure versus the sell pressure that is already baked into it. So Avalanche gives us this ability to essentially replicate these tokens much better than we could do with any other product.
Nice. I really like that. And I mean, I'm one who loves Avalanche. I love the horizontal scaling vision that they have with all the L1s. I think it's definitely one of the more unique approaches to scaling that we've seen in Web3 and just blockchain in general. So any support, and I mean, like you said, they are super supportive of everything that's building in the red chain. And so to see them work alongside you guys and work with you guys to make this vision come to life just make me super bullish about what you guys are building, and also even more bullish about Avalanche themselves. For the games that you guys are actually publishing, do you guys have titles already that are ready to be shipped? Do you guys have everything working in the background? When do people actually start playing the games?
We'd be a pretty weird publisher if we started with games that are already done. That's generally, if you're starting with a finished product, you're kind of cheating there. They'd just be giving us money for doing stuff. So, for example, we've got Call of the Void that's currently undergoing a major redo and overhaul. The design is changing. We did the whole process with that game, so that's one I did with my previous studio, Mystic Games. Ran that up to 220,000 monthly active users, and then promptly ran out our runway, because the money wasn't coming in when you had that kind of data. If I'd have got 2 million wallet transactions, then it would have been a different story. So what we're doing is we're doing the full process. We're putting it basically into the Accelerate program. So we had our expert take a look at it. He did a full redesign, played the game a lot, and then he wrote up this thick document, which we went through in like a 4-hour workshop. Now then the redesign happens based on that. The development team that we're actually using to build on other projects is doing this development. The art team that we're going to do is doing the redesign for the art. So we're putting our original vision and our game design through these processes, and the game will be relaunched and be better than ever. The thing is about building in public, we can tell you what's happening. When is always difficult, because there's this idea that if we say it's going to be done in 3 months and it isn't, that's a failure. And you can make a bad game quickly, or you can make a good game over a longer time, and it's never good to ship a bad game quickly as compared to the good game over a longer time. Brawl Stars, one of the really popular mobile games. Brawl Stars took 2 years in soft launch, one of the longest soft launches ever out there, and I think it was about 5, 6, 7 years after their launch they had their best year ever. We're really lucky. Web3 is a space built for permanence, for immutability, for keeping things and storing them in a decentralized way so they don't get lost. That means time is on our side. So we have many games, like we got over 22 or so through studios external. We have, I think it's now up to 27 that are in various stages, the pipelines that we're actively doing things on.
I mean, Q2 is going to be where a lot of the fun starts, for the games that are coming out of, like, let's say, their closed testing periods. There's a lot. I mean, we are hitting the Telegram market like it has never been hit before, with games that have never been launched, on that market, that are so perfect for it. We are bringing, PC games, mobile games, hyper casual, mid-core. Like our initial spread of games that have come to us, the ones that have been working with us for a while, it is varied, and we're super excited because a lot of people will recognize a lot of the names that are involved, like of the founders that are on the timeline. That people, we're keeping a lot in, let's say, I would say almost like a semi stealth mode with a lot of the releases, but it's for a reason.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we do the best by the games. We don't want to be teasing them. We don't want to use these games to build our name. That's not what this is about. These games have their own names. They have their own visions. We want to build them up. So we want to be in that position to accelerate those guys. I mean, it'd be fantastic for us to sort of announce like, oh, these famous games or these cool people are coming to this and we're going to do this. Like, no, these games have their own things. They have whether it's issues or acceleration or design or things that they want to do, or they just want to recenter before they go. There's a lot of these things that are there, and you know,
Yeah,
at the end of it, we'll get more better
like
games.
the only real aspect that we want, let's say, being discussed about us publicly is business and ethics from, good business. Yeah, and exactly that. But it's like we're here for the games. Like we're not here. I mean, right now we're here to talk about us. We're in our early stages. We are growing. But after that, it's all about the games that come through. It's not about us. We are not main character energying this. Like we go back into the shadows and we do what the best publishers in the world do, which is vanish from sight. And we just build business and we build business. And that is what we will be known for.
Yeah, and you might see the logo. You might be like, "Oh, that's a cool logo," and then you might feel like, "Oh, all the games I like are on that label." That's if we've achieved that, we've done something really good. I just like to reference like one of the most boring companies in Web2 gaming throws the best parties. Xsolla. Like, do you know what they do? Maybe something to do with payments on web. Parties banging.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So you don't always have to be leading from the front with that kind of stuff,
Yeah, I mean, just the simple fact that if people recognize your logo and they're like, "Oh, this better be a good game. I recognize this." That means you did your job.
Oh, we want our name to be a stamp of quality. That it is that recognizable.
I like that. So, I mean, you guys are doing a lot and tackling a lot, but I mean, you guys are tackling the right problems for the space. Anyone who's listened to this hour conversation should be nothing but excited about everything you guys are trying to do
Thanks, man.
for Web3 gaming. If they want to follow along, if they want to be able to keep track of everything, all the games that you guys are working with, the chain, the node sales, your own token, all the tokens that you guys are going to be working with, the Q2 releases that you teased us a little bit, where should they go? Where should they keep track of everything and ensure that nothing falls through?
Right now, just follow @warpchain_ on Twitter. The Discord, the community side of this will be kicking off very, very shortly. So just make sure to be following, keep up, slam that notification button on, and just follow everything that we're doing, and you'll soon understand why we're doing it.
Yeah, join us in spaces, and I think also just wait to see what happens to your favorite games. We might subsume them. It's going to be interesting.
There we go. And for gamers that are listening to this and are maybe saying that, hey, maybe self-publishing or relying on my chain isn't working out the way that I was thinking it was going to go to, where can they reach out to you guys if they're looking for support?
Just reach out for us on X or through me or through Jason's account, Glitch Biking. Or is it you're on Myth?
No, I'm there as Myth Overlord. Yeah, on Twitter.
Myth Overlord. So yeah, just like if you see us around, just reach out to us with your game, with your idea. We're not here to take your chain. We're here to take your game and make it good.
I like that. And man, I am looking forward to everything you guys are releasing, and hopefully maybe sometime in Q2, once you guys have those games ready to go, we can have you guys back for a follow-up conversation to see now that things are cooking a little bit more and things are ready to release. I want to have you guys back and see like, hey, how are things going to kick off, and be there with you guys.
You'll see the games first on the timeline, and then you'll be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
There you go, Matt, Jason. Thank you guys so much for sitting down here with me for an hour. I appreciate talking to you guys. I learned a lot,
man.
and I'm excited for a lot that you guys are cooking. So thank you
Thank you
guys
very
and
much,
everybody
man.
watching. Make sure you guys drop these guys a follow. Turn on the notifications because a lot of stuff is coming sooner rather than later. Thank you guys, and catch you guys later on another episode of the 100X podcast. Peace.
Thank you.